Da-da-da. Okay, welcome to this design briefing. How exciting! New module, new season, all those fun things. So let's move through it. So here we have the BA Ons fashion design, and this is module number FA1S59, and this is fashion engineering 2, and it's going to run from week 7 to 12. Now, of course, it's Easter in the middle of that, but teaching week 7 to 12. It's a 20 credit module, and the module team are myself, Stephen Wright, and the amazing Susan James. Now, the cover image you see here is a digitally printed lay plan for a zero waste pattern garment by New Zealand and Sweden's own Dr. Holly McQuillan. Let's jump in. Module aims for students to build on and extend their garment construction and pattern cutting skills. Number 2, to introduce students to technical learning in the field of sustainable pattern cutting and production techniques. Number 3, to build on and extend planning and production management skills. So if we think of those 3 aims, they really, number 1 and number 3, really build on the work that you started in Fashion Engineering 1. So looking at extending those skills and building on them. Now, go back to your reflection and think about some of the stuff that you did in FE1, and there's maybe some areas that you want to kind of improve, maybe some areas that maybe you didn't do so well. Production management planning might be definitely one of those. So it might be worth kind of reflecting back on that and seeing how you can extend those skills. And number 2 is a bunch of new skills. So to introduce students to the technical learning in the field of sustainable pattern cutting and production techniques. So that's a new set of skills, sustainable pattern cutting and production. Let's look at the content. This module advanced the skills and techniques introduced in the previous technical module in order to provide an opportunity for students to experiment with a wider range of creative pattern cutting and construction methods. This will combine with an extension of the project management, planning and documentation skills developed in the previous technical modules. Students will participate in a workshop program that will explore the range sustainable and, oh dear, this is terrible writing, will explore the range of sustainable and circular pattern cutting and production techniques. These techniques will be used to explore the relationship between circular design and sustainable production. Let's take a look at your 2 learning outcomes. Learning outcome 1, demonstrate project management and time management skill to a defined technical project, merging sustainable design and production. Learning outcome 2, demonstrate a developed technical vocabulary and a range of sustainable garment construction and pattern skills. Let's break those down a little bit. If we look at learning outcome 1, demonstrate project management and time management skills. Okay, so you obviously have to demonstrate those skills. You have to have those skills and practice those skills. So project management is managing a project from its initial idea to its final. And time management is using your time efficiently and effectively. Not more time, not working harder, but efficiently. And this is all to a defined technical project. Now you'll do 5 technical projects as part of this module. But they're mini and manageable. Merging sustainable design and production. So exploring sustainable design processes, which you've done in your current module, the one you're just about to finish, and production, which you'll do in this module. And then number 2, demonstrate a developed technical vocabulary and a range of sustainable garment construction and pattern cutting skills. So we can see if we break those 2 learning outcomes down, the first one is really about managing your projects, and the second one is about the skills developed in those projects. Let's take a look at the brief. Building on your first year as a designer, this module is designed to give you the skills to push yourself further and to build on your skills and design and construction ability. As with previous modules, it will require concentration, dedication, practice, and a desire to learn. That last one's really important. A desire to learn is something that really helps motivate people and really helps inspire them. Fashion Engineering 2 is a module dedicated to extending the practical vocabulary that you will draw upon in your future career. Engaging with advanced and sustainable skills-based production methods will allow you to extend your learning and develop your own techniques as a designer. Throughout this module, you will create a digital reference folder with a range of techniques, processes, and resources designed for you to refer back to in the future. Using this reference folder, you will create a series of finished trials and technical specifications demonstrating your understanding of technical processes and how they can be applied in a design context. So effectively what you're doing, by the looks of things, is creating a library of techniques and using those as a reference for future projects. Materials. You will engage with a range of materials and techniques. You'll be given instruction to help you understand materials and how they can be used to push your design. Presentation for this brief. Your work. Your work will be presented as a total package in an appropriate format, clearly labelled with your name, student number, and module code. All digital work must be submitted as a PDF using the following file name, and you can see there, through the Blackboard Assessment Portal. You will have the opportunity to present your work for feedback during formative sessions until final panel during the summative assessment. Consider how you develop the summative presentation, including the room setup if we're back on campus, or the digital setup if we're not, supporting materials, so imagery and things like that, and how you order your presentation. Your assessment to this module will be twofold. Let's take a look. Let's break it down. Firstly, formatively through the development of a digital reference folder, which will include the following: all of your class notes, your critical path planning and project management documentation, a glossary of terms, samples or photographs of samples, photographs, video, so video final product perhaps, reflection on learning, patterns and constructions, images of, whether they're digital drawings, lay plans or photographs, order of assembly and other instructions, think of the pre-production documentation and your technical specifications, technical drawings of final products and incremental techniques. So think this is very much the next step on from Fashion Engineering 1. Secondly, your summative assessment which will consist of the following: 4 finished toiles extending on the techniques demonstrated. These will be presented through photographs and video. Complete technical specifications for your toiles, including technical drawing, lay plans and pre-production documentation. A final set of fully labelled patterns for each toile. Of course, these will be digital. A documented process file of design, development, project management and construction extending your digital reference folder. Let's take a look at your schedule. Now you can see here we have our familiar setup where we have your preparation and your session. And you can see each week we will have a distinct session, so a distinct technique to do. So Arduino, then subtraction cutting, zero-based pattern cutting, transformational reconstruction cutting, and then Kennedy garment construction. Now we've put in a final week here for you to watch this when it all runs out, but also a week to finish everything off. Now, just to be clear, Easter falls about here in the middle. So this module might be kind of done in 2 halves. So these 3 workshops, then your formative, which will give you some good feedback to go away with, and then these 3 following workshops. Let's take a look at your assessment. So your formative assessment will be on the 24th and 25th of March. And of course, it'll be a digital reference folder including the following: class notes, critical path planning and project management documentation, glossary of terms, samples, photographs, video, reflection on learning, patterns and constructions, order of assembly and other instructions, technical drawing of final products and incremental techniques. Now it is formative, and it'll be a studio tutorial with supporting material. So you might have some physical material there, but because it's a digital reference folder, we would suggest you bring in a laptop or equivalent so we can see the work. Then of course you have your summative assessment, and you can see that is due on the 6th of May. 4 finished files extending on the techniques demonstrated. These will be presented through photographs and video. Complete technical specifications of your tiles, including technical drawing, lay plans and pre-production documentation. A final set of fully labelled patterns for each tile. A documented process file of design, development, project management and construction, extending your digital resource file. Of course, this is summative and presented digital via Blackboard. Okay, so let's take a look at your assessment criteria, your grading rubric. Each one is worth 50%, and let's take a look. That font's a bit funny. Okay, now we can see this first one is about your skills. So this is learning outcome 2, and this is learning outcome 1. Why they're in that order, don't ask me, I only wrote it. But let's take a look at the top. So your criteria is demonstrate a developed technical vocabulary and range of sustainable garment construction and pattern cutting skills. Now, what we want is to be here. Now remember, this is all about evidence of learning. Evidence of learning. Which means if you focus on learning, the grades will come. So let's take a look at a fail. Very little evidence of technical competence or application. Okay, so that's not saying that you are incompetent. That's not saying that you can't sew, for example. That's saying that you haven't presented evidence that you can so. So let's take a look at a third. Skills selected and demonstrated are to an adequate standard. Accepted conventions and procedures are usually applied. There is limited evidence of sophistication or professionalism. So that basically says you have all the basic skills and you're doing what you're asked and you're doing what is expected of the industry, but you're not pushing it in any way. Let's jump to a 2.2. Skills are competent, standard within accepted conventions and procedures. Work requires greater sophistication and professionalism. So the difference here is this one demonstrates that you have some evidence of sophistication and some evidence of professionalism, but you need more. So if we jump all the way to exemplar, we can see this. Skills evidence a level of technical competence that extends accepted conventions and procedures. Work is of sophisticated and professional level. Now that's very, very high. Let's take a look at it first. Skills facilitate a very good level of competence within accepted conventions and procedures. Work shows some sophistication and professionalism. So that's suggesting that the work is, when we say some, we mean kind of more than a little bit sophisticated and more than a little bit professional. Okay, and that you have very good competence, so that your skills are very good, as opposed to standard and as opposed to extending accepted conventions. So let's take a look at the second criteria. Demonstrate project management and time management skills to a defined technical project, merging sustainable design and production. So this is about your project management. Again, let's take a look at a fail. The documentation of process presents very little evidence of project and time management. Okay, very straightforward, no evidence. Let's take a look at a third. Project and time management are appropriate for the given tasks and projects. Okay, there we are, that you have some evidence and they're appropriate. Take a look at a 2.2. Management of project has been effective, so you've been able to complete it. Documentation has been clear and complete for purpose, and you've been able to document it as well. Let's take a look at exemplar. Management of project have displayed efficiency and professionalism in solving complex issues. Documentation prevents professional, sophisticated solutions. So this is maybe you really using project management. You might be using some software, you might be using your own system, or developing a system even, to create really effective, efficient outcomes. Here we have an indicative reading list for this module, and you can see lots of stuff there for you to go through, but there's plenty available online as well. Ask us in session, we can give you some links. And of course, this is about module evaluation, studio access, health and safety, looking at definitions of some of those keywords that I've used. And there we go. Diolch yn fawr.